Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good evening, everyone. Okay. Okay, we are talking about Four Noble Truths. So the first one is the noble truth of suffering, right? We meditate because we want to overcome suffering, right? So that's the reason why we meditate. So today we will talk about what is suffering according to the Suttas. So I hope today we will try to finish today for this year. Maybe sometime I may move a little bit faster, nah? Because I want to go through some of the explanation. So, in the first sermon, the Buddha said that now these bhikkhus is the noble truth of suffering, birth is suffering, aging is suffering, illness is suffering, and death is suffering. So according to Buddhism, when you were born in a new life, it is suffering. Aging, of course, it is quite clear. Illness, also clear. Death, also suffering. So when you look at this paragraph, so we clearly understand, right? So that is what we call it dukkhā, the natural suffering. Dukkha. Later we will talk about three types of suffering. So it can be put into natural suffering. So when you just looking at what the Buddha taught, you clearly understand, right? This is a natural suffering. Another one is union with what is displeasing is suffering. So when you are staying with somebody you don't like, right? It is suffering. Something that you are experiencing, that also suffering. So this one also natural suffering, right? Natural suffering. And also separation from what is pleasing is suffering. So when you are separated with your beloved one, it is suffering. It's natural, right? It's natural. So when you are separated with something you like, right? Something you like, your house, your country, right? Sometimes you miss your country when you are away. So that's suffering, natural suffering, right? So when you look at two paragraphs, clear, right? Suffering. So therefore the Buddha said that nobody can deny, the noble truth of suffering that the Buddha said. Another one is not to get what one wants is suffering. If you don't want something you want, it's suffering. Everybody suffer, right? If they don't get what they want. So that's also natural suffering. Another one is the Buddha trying to summarize all type of suffering into one line. So the Buddha said, in brief, the 5 aggregates subject to clinging are suffering. So we can call it this one spiritual suffering. So we can divide into two types of suffering based on this one, based on this one. Basically, suffering in change. When we encounter with the changes in our life, suffering. And suffering due to formation. So the formations are subject to impermanent. So when we are encountering with those formations, suffering. So when you understand this particular line, you understand all type of suffering, 5 aggregate, subject to clinging. So if you cling to 5 aggregate, it's suffering. If you don't cling to 5 aggregate, no suffering, no suffering. Okay, so later, Satcha Vibhanga Sutta, analysis of the 4 Noble Truths, Venerable Sariputta explain in details. So later we'll talk about it. So this noble truth of suffering is to be fully understood. Regarding with all these suffering, different type of suffering, what we have to do is to understand fully. That's all we can do. So we cannot remove suffering, What we have to remove, according to the first Sama, is you have to remove the cause of suffering, the cause of suffering. So, understanding suffering is that we can do. And the Buddha said that thus, bhikkhus, in regard to things I have before, there arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, true knowledge, and light, regarding with the truth of suffering, the noble truth of suffering. In one sutta, the Buddha gave a simile of a lost city. The Buddha rediscovered ancient city that were lost for a long time. So the previous Buddha, Kassapa Buddha, right? Kassapa Buddha found the 4 Noble Truths. Then after some time, it disappeared. When the Buddha attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, the Buddha rediscovered the 4 Noble Truths and ancient city that were lost for a long time, So therefore, when you study teachings of all the religion, you will not find 4 Noble Truths. 4 Noble Truths. Of course, you may find just a part of them, but you cannot form all the 4 Noble Truths. That is available only in Buddhism. Okay, so regarding with all these teachings, so this is taught by the Buddha in the first sermon. Of course, the Buddha may have explained to the group of 5 monks, but the Sutta didn't mention in details. So, detailed explanation can be found in some suttas. But we will quote one sutta. It's called Satcha Vibhanga Sutta. Satcha Vibhanga means disposition of the 4 Noble Truths or analysis of 4 Noble Truths. Venerable Sariputta trying to analyze all the teachings taught by the Buddha in the first sermon. So here you can see Venerable Sariputta taught to the monks, and what friends is a path? Jadi. Jadi. The path of, sorry if my pronunciation is not correct, very difficult to pronounce this one. The path of beings into various order of beings. You was born among the order of human beings, so therefore your path is a human path, right? Human path. Then after you die, some of you may be was born among the order of devas, deva, like that. So they are coming to birth, precipitation in a mother's womb, in the mother's womb. Generation, the manifestation of the five aggregate, obtaining the basis for contact, 6 bases for contact, eye, ear, nose, etc., etc. So that is called path. So that's a very important line, very important paragraph. Some teachers, when they talk about jadi, they interpret something that has happened. Jadi. Jadi. So they don't want to interpret the being born in one of the particular existence. So when you look at this line, you understand jadi here me, actual birth into new existence, human existence, a deva existence, a Brahma existence, etc. Right, etc. So when we study dependent origination, some teacher interpret jadi, path, as something that arises right now in this life, because they don't want to accept past life and afterlife. So when you look at the Pali Canon, it's quite clear. Jadi here me, being born in a new existence, one of the existence, right? So when we study dependent origination, we'll talk about it in detail. Okay, paragraph number 12. And what friends is aging? The aging of beings in the various order of beings. Their old age, brokenness of teeth, grayness of hair, wrinkling of skin, declining of life, and weakness of the faculties. This is called aging. Aging is clear, right? Aging is clear. Because Venerable Sariputta want to clarify, details. Paragraph number 30. And what friends is death? The passing of beings out of the various order of beings. They are passing away, dissolution, disappearance, dying, completion of time, dissolution of aggregate, lying down of the body. Here also again, some people want to interpret marana, death, as the death of mind, mental and physical phenomena in this life. They don't want to interpret the death of being in this existence and being born in another existence. So here, the laying down of the body, right? Somebody will die and lay down the body. Okay, so all these ones are very, I think, clear, right? No need to explain. Then 40, paragraph number 40. And what friends is sorrow? Sorrow, sorrowing, sorrowfulness, inner sorrow, inner sorriness, of one who has encountered some misfortune or is affected by some painful state. That is called sorrow. So when you encounter with the painful experiences in your life, you have a sorrow, right? But then about, of course, sorrow, right? So this one is quite clear, right? Quite clear. It's natural suffering in our life. Nobody can deny, no? Nobody can deny. So therefore, the Buddha Aptivutiyan. Nobody can do upside down, Nobody can turn his teaching into upside down. Because it's truth, right? Sorrow is suffering. Lamentation is suffering. So here, para number 50, same thing. What is lamentation? The way and lament of one who has encountered some misfortune or is affected by some painful state. Wailing, lamenting, bewailing, and lamentation of one who has encountered some misfortune is affected by some painful state. So normally, Vipangami analysis. So when they analyze its state of mind, they use, synonym of the same word. Normally they are the same, So that people who do not understand the word lamentation, they will understand lament or the way, right? Like that. Make sure that people will understand, different people will understand. Okay, then 60, para number 60, and what friends is pain? So here pain means bodily pain, bodily discomfort, painful, uncomfortable feeling, bone or body contact. That is called pain. Dukkha. What is dukkha? Dukkha. Dukkha means bodily pain. Dukkha here means not a dukkha satcha, Dukkha satcha covers everything. The word dukkha covers everything, every type of suffering. But here, the word dukkha in this context, it just covers bodily pain, bodily pain. The same word, the same Pali word, but different, different kind of, sound to say, different meaning. 70 means dominance, grief, mental pain, mental discomfort, painful, uncomfortable feeling, born of mental contact. So when you think about something, you feel pain feeling, right? Discomfort in your mind. So that is called grief. So all these are very, very clear. No need to explain, right? No need to explain. Then paragraph number 80. And what friends is the despair? Upayasa. Dukkha dominasa upayasa. The trouble and disappear, and tribulation and desperation of one who has encountered some misfortune is affected by some painful state. That is called despair. Paragraph number 90. And what friend is not to obtain what one wants is suffering. To beings subject to birth, so there comes a wish, the wish, or that we were not subject to birth. That birth will not come to us. But this is not to be obtained by wishing. Just for wishing that you don't want to stop any type of birth. No, cannot. You need to practice, right? You need to practice. This is not to be obtained by wishing, and not to obtain what one wants is suffering. to being subject to aging. Subject to aging, there comes the wish, oh, that we were not subject to aging. This one is clear. We don't want to grow old. And also we don't want to die, right? So your wishes will not come true. Will not come true. So these are called not to obtain what one once is suffering. To being subject to aging, subject to sickness, subject to death, subject to sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair, there comes the wish, oh, that we were not subject to sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair. That sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair will not come to us. But this is not to be obtained by wishing, not to obtain what one is suffering. And that one is clear, right? So you cannot make a wish to stop your old age, death, sickness, etc. But here, my main point is here. Actually, earlier definition, they are very clear, right? They are very clear. So only the last one, the last line, is important to understand, because it is a spiritual one. Spiritual one means it is not in normal, in normal teaching. It is a higher teaching. Higher teaching. Not easy to understand, right? So in Pali we call it Sanketena pañcupādānakkhandā dukkhā. So this is a special line that we need to understand regarding with the suffering. In brief, the 5 aggregate subject to clinging are suffering. 5 aggregate subject to clinging are suffering. So when you cling to when you cling to 5 aggregate, that's suffering. So this is a Pañcupādānakkhandā translation. And Bhikkhu Ñāṇa Moli, he translates this particular line, pañcupādānakkhandā. The 5 aggregate affected by clinging. Pañcupādānakkhandā use subject to clinging. Same, actually not much different. So you can choose whatever translation you like. Then Popular Rahula, in his book, What the Buddha Taught, he used the word 5 aggregate of attachment. He used the word attachment instead of clinging. Same, Then Sayadaw Usilananda, he used the word the 5 aggregate of clinging. The 5 aggregate of clinging. So what are the 5 aggregate of clinging? So we see Saccavibhanga Sutta. Saccavibhanga Sutta. The Venerable Sariputta said that. And what, friends, are the 5 aggregates affected by clinging? That, in short, are suffering. So they are number 1, the material form aggregate affected by clinging are suffering. Material form. Thing that you see, with your eye. Thing that you hear with your ear, sound. And the smell with your nose, and the taste with your tongue, and tangible object with your body. So we call it the material form. Material form. So when you cling to material form, your body, the body of other people, and anything you see, anything you hear, when you cling to them, suffering. I will give you some example. This body is a material form, subject to clinging, right? Subject to clinging. Normally, we cling to our body so much. because of that clinging to our body, when we are going to die, we suffer, right? We have a lot of fear in our mind. When you have a fear in your mind, it's really suffering, right? You don't want to leave this body. You don't want to leave your house. You don't want to leave your family. All these are subject to clinging or subject to attachment. Because of that clinging, you suffer. So therefore, the material form, aggregate. So aggregate here means just the group of material form, the group. So the group is not a normal one. Actually, according to Abhidhamma, we have 28. 28. So in the Sutta, the Buddha talk about 11 type of material form. Material form. That is called the group or the aggregate. When you cling to material form, it's suffering. So therefore, when you don't have any clinging to your body, to your family, to your house, you are not suffering. You will not suffer. So therefore, normally we call it letting go, right? The moment you're going to die is very important. When you have a clinging in your mind, attachment in your mind, you will suffer. If you just know that your body is subject to die, subject to impermanent, then you're just aware of what is happening by that time. Your mind is liberated by fear, Your mind will be liberated by fear. No fear at all, No fear at all. So therefore, clinging to five aggregate or clinging to material form is suffering. Because of clinging, you suffer, right? No clinging, no suffering. No suffering. Maybe when we talk about dependent origination, I will clarify a little bit further because today I want to finish today this lesson today. And suppose your parents, you see, is the aggregate, material aggregate, material form aggregate. Normally your parents are subject to clinging or object of clinging. When you cling to your parents, you cannot let go, right? You cannot let go your parents. But they are subject to die, subject to death. When they die, when you have this understanding, five aggregate are impermanent. Five aggregate are subject, people are subject to death. So when you have with that understanding, you can let go. Let go here means you understand. Your mind is liberated from fear or attachment. Right? So therefore, clinging to the material form is suffering. Another one is the feeling aggregate affected by clinging. Normally, the Buddha analyze beings, human beings, or beings, not human beings, every beings. The Buddha analyze a being with the five aggregate. So we are composed of five aggregate. The material form, this body, right? Material form, this body. And we have feeling. So actually, because of feeling, our feeling is subject to clinging. So when we experience pleasant feeling, we attach, right? We cling to that. We cling to that feeling. So when you do not cling to that pleasant feeling, you will not suffer. In your life, you will have a pleasant sensation, unpleasant sensation, or neutral sensation. Wherever feeling or mental sensation arise, if you do not attach or if you do not cling to that, not suffering, not suffering. So therefore, the feeling aggregate affected by clinging is suffering. Another one is perception. The perception aggregate affected by clinging. Normally we have attachment to our perception. When you perceive something is truth, right? Something is truth. You attach to that. When somebody says that what you perceive is not truth, it is a wrong doctrine or wrong thing, you feel very angry, you feel irritated, right? You feel irritated. Suffering is suffering, right? Perception aggregate affected by clinging. Another one is the formation aggregate affected by clinging. Mental formation aggregate affected by clinging. According to Abhidhamma, we will have a 52 Cetasika, 52 mental factors. Number 1, feeling. Number 2, perception. But we still have another 50. So all these 50 Cetasika or mental factors are called mental formation. So when you, those mental formations are subject to clinging. So when you cling to them, it is suffering. It is suffering. Another one is, the last one is the consciousness. The consciousness aggregate affected by clinging. According to Abhidhamma, Theravada Abhidhamma, so we will have a 69 consciousness. So when you cling to one of them, so that is a suffering. That is a suffering. So Venerable Sariputta said that these are the 5 aggregates affected by clinging that, in short, are suffering. This is called the noble truth of suffering. So actually earlier, Venerable Sariputta trying to analyze the noble truth of suffering, right? Starting with the birth, aging, sickness, death, etc. You know? So you have to pay attention to the last one. Earlier one, easy to understand. So that means a being is composed of, normally we call it nama rupa, right? Mind and body, mind and body. When you attach to one of them, it's suffering. But another one, we can analyze a being into 5 aggregates. So when you have attachment or clinging to those 5 aggregates, suffering, that's suffering. People who grow old, no? They miss their younger day, right? They miss younger day. Aggregate in their past, right? The material form in their past. They have attachment to material form in their past. That is suffering. That is suffering. Okay, so to understand all this one, and we need to understand what is 5 aggregate. 5 aggregate. Normally, khanda, pañcupādānakkhandā, panchami 5, khanda means aggregate, or the group. So we'll quote one sutta from Sutta Nikaya. I already sent out to you one sutta, short one. We call it Khanda Sutta. chapter 22, Sutta number 46. So in that Sutta, the Buddha talk about 5 aggregate. So whatever kind of form there is, whether past, future or present. So here, past, future, present. Sometimes we cling to our past aggregate, right? Sometimes we attachment to our future aggregate. When we are young, we want to grow old faster, right? When we are very young, normally, because parents they were trying to control you, right? Then you want to grow old. You want to be 80 years old, You want to reach 80 years old, But it's very so slow, right? So slow. That is a future 5 aggregate, future material form. Normally people cling to that, right? People cling to that. Some people who are walking, they want to reach retire age, right? 60, 65 or 60, or what? 68, right? 63, right? So some people want to retire right now, So because walking life is very tiring, so they want to reach 63, retiring age. So that will be future material form, clinging to future material form. They are not staying in the present moment, right? They are not staying in the present moment. Like a young baby, young people, so they want to grow old faster because their parents control so much. So they expect that they grow old, faster. So that will be a future material form, future aggregate. Past, future, present, internal and external. Internal, normally you are some of the aggregate, like a sensitivity, eye sensitivity, ear, etc. So these are the internal, external, right? Then things that you see and the sound that you hear, etc. These are external. Gross and subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. This is called the form aggregate. The form aggregate. So here we have 11. So the Buddha trying to analyze by using 11 facts, right? 11 facts. So all these are the form aggregate. The form aggregate. So when you cling to form aggregate, that is suffering. That is suffering. According to Abhidhamma, so there are 28 matters. So they are called the form aggregate. 28 matters. Okay, those who haven't learned Abhidhamma, don't worry. No need to remember the number, I just explain according to Abhidhamma. 28 matters. Number 2, whatever kind of feeling there is, whether past, future, present, internal, external, gross, subtle, inferior, superior, far, and near. So here also, according to Abhidhamma, we have only one type of feeling. The feeling is one mental factor. Feeling is one cetasika. But here, we use the word aggregate. Feeling aggregate. Feeling group. In Abhidhamma, we have only one cetasika, right? Feeling is only one. if it is only one, you cannot use the word aggregate or the group. We use the group or aggregate because of 11 facts, right? Feeling in the past, feeling in future, feeling in the present moment. So therefore, 11 type of feeling here. So therefore, the Buddha used the word aggregate or the group. Normally, we have attachment to our feeling in the past, sometime in the future, feeling in the future, right? Suppose tomorrow you're going to take a holiday, you're going to visit a very beautiful place. You will imagine yourself, right? You will imagine yourself how you will experience to visit that place. So that will be feeling in the future, right? Feeling in the future like that. So when you cling to them, when you cling to any type of feeling, then that will be suffering according to Buddhism. Okay, so what is feeling? Feeling is one of the Chitasika among the 52 mental factors, 52 Chitasika. So third one is perception. Whatever kind of perception there is, whether past, future, or present, internal, external, gross, subtle, inferior, superior, and final, is this is called perception aggregate. Normally, we cling to perception, right? Perception. When you cling to them, that is suffering. So when you read Buddhist cosmology, actually it is explained by commentaries, not explained by the Buddha. Some of the cosmologies, it looks like commentary trying to explain. It looks like it's the wall. How to say that? The earth is flat. The earth is flat. It's not a globe. So when the monks encounter with the Western, the study of the globe and universe, how you call it? Science, When the Buddhist monks came in contact with the science, Western science, they have difficulty to accept this art. The art is the wrong. So they think that the art is flat. So because of that, they write to respond Western science. They couldn't believe, They suffer a lot. Because Western science not in line with Buddhist literature from commentaries. They suffer. So that what I want to explain is they perceive, they have perception of the flat or the art. You understand what I mean? You understand, right? Okay. Because they cannot believe, right? They can't accept the Western science. One time, Dalai Lama met with the Thai devotees, monks and lay devotees, and he gave a small talk, short talk. Within that talk, he explained, he mentioned a few things. One of them is he met psychologists and psychologists. And he said that Western psychology is now just a toddler, just a toddler. The Buddhist psychology is becoming a depth, honestly, depth, right? Depth. So, as far as Western psychology cannot compare with the Buddhist psychology. Psychology means the knowledge of the mind, knowledge of the mind. Another thing he said is he no longer believes the idea of Mount Meru. Mount Meru is the biggest mountain in the world, according to Buddhist cosmology. He clearly said that. He is actually well known and the leader of Tibetan Buddhism. He clearly said that after learning Western science, he no longer believes the teachings of Mount Meru, the biggest mountain in the world, right? So now we cannot see. We haven't discovered Mount Meru, so therefore he said that he no longer believes. I think many monks, they were not like it because they perceive all the Buddhist literatures found in the commentaries. They are not wrong. They are right. They perceive the earth is flat, not a globe, not a globe. So those who have attachment to their perception, it is suffering. It is suffering. Some people may perceive in their mind that there is a creator God. Creator God. The God created universe and beings. The God controls everything. When somebody say that there's no creator God, then later he almost convinced there's no creator God. But in his mind, maybe empty, Earlier he think that God controls everything. They will go to heaven. Somebody taught that there's no God. Earlier he perceived there is a God. Perception, right? Perception. So when that person cling to that perception, suffering. So therefore, so here with a perception, when you cling to your perception, so that will be suffering. So therefore, the Buddha said that even you don't have to cling to the Dhamma taught by himself. No clinging, When somebody criticizes Triple or teachings of the Buddha, you can reply. You can respond to them in a right way without any anger. So normally we attach to our teaching, teachings of the Buddha. So therefore, when somebody criticizes, right away anger will arise, So that anger or irritation in our mind is suffering. So that suffering arises because of perception in our mind, Because of perception in our mind. Okay, so according to Abhidhamma, it is a perception mental factor. Sanya Chetasika, among the 52 mental factors. And number 4, whatever kind of volitional formation, sometimes we use the word mental activities. So there are, whether past, future, or present, etc. So these are called volitional formation aggregate sankhara. Sankharakkhandā. So what is Sankharakkhandā? Apart from feeling and perception, so the rest of the 50 minute factors uttered by Chetana are called volitional formation. So we have a 52 Cetasika, among them feeling aggregate is feeling Cetasika, and perception aggregate, perception Cetasika, and the other 50 are called mental formations or mental activities. Then the last one, consciousness. Whatever kind of consciousness there is, whether past, future or present, etc. So that is called the consciousness aggregate. Consciousness aggregate. According to Abhidhamma, we will have a 89 type of consciousness. So it can be mundane and supramundane one, Lokiya and Lokottara. So they are called the consciousness aggregate. So these are the 5 aggregate. So before we understand 5 aggregate of clinging, so we need to understand 5 aggregate first. Okay, any question? Okay.
I'm just wondering about Venerable Sariputta.
Sorry?
He went home.
Sorry?
Sariputta, okay?
Oh, Sammasambuddha.
Okay. No, Venerable Sariputta.
Oh, Sariputta, okay.
He went back to look after his ill parents, and he's famous for his heart mantra. So I believe he understands the Four Noble Truths very well, because he's the highest wisdom disciple of Buddha. So what happened, if I'm not wrong, in what I read, is that he understood the First Noble Truth of natural suffering, and now you explain so clearly about the 5 aggregate cleaning, by cleaning. He actually has fully understood that, and he left without a word. And his robe was sent back to Buddha, and it was announced that he is dead. He left. Venerable Sariputta left. In the book that I read is that he went to look after his ill parents. He left Buddha for a while. And after that, his parents passed off, he passed off. That means he understood by 5 aggregate we cannot do by cleaning, because he understood very well what is it all about. So he left without a word. Can I say that? Because the 3rd and the 4th Noble Truth, of course, the dependent origination, he would have known everything already. Just that the catchword to me today is 5 aggregate cleaning. The word, the cleaning, if you understand the 5 aggregate by cleaning, you will know how to let go everything in depth. Of course, our Pante Sariputta, he knows it very well. He looked after his parents, and during the period of time, he saw the natural of suffering, death, illness, lamentation, sorrow, somebody leave you, and all. Of course, he will see through all this, I believe, during his caretaking for his parents. And now the 5 aggregate by cleaning, because he's very famous for this, and all the suttas is talking and mentioning his name. So while you are saying, I'm thinking about all the stories and all the suttas written about 5 aggregate, the keyword by cleaning and gasping. If one can understand what is 5 aggregate and apply to the 4 Noble Truths, that's it.
Can you make a short question, because
my
I'm
short
trying to
thing
get
is
the story of.
Because in the Mahayana, the heart mantra.
Don't try to miss is a heart sutra, because I'm teaching Theravada Pali Canon.
Okay.
Because if we compare two versions, it will become a mess,
Okay. Can.
So maybe I think after you learn explanation, 5 aggregates of clinging, you
Yes.
will understand clearly.
Okay, thank
Can
you.
you wait for a while?
Thank you.
Okay. because sometimes if we try to compare two versions of teaching, then it will make it mess, or maybe how to say. Okay, let's then previously I talked about 5 aggregates. Now let's talk about 5 aggregates of clinging according to Pali Canon. Before that, I want to use Bhikkhu Bodhi explanation. Bhikkhu Bodhi explanation in his book, A Comprehensive Manual of Abhidhamma. So he explained what is 5 aggregates of clinging. Here, all components of the 5 aggregates that are affected by clinging. So here I underline affected by clinging. Enter into the range of 4 types of clinging are called the 5 aggregates of clinging. 5 aggregates of grades of clinging. Pronunciation very bad. Pañcupādānakkhandā in Pali. So here, 5 aggregates affected by clinging. If you cling to 5 aggregate suffering, if 5 aggregates enter into the range of 4 types of clinging. So here I will not mention 4 types of clinging in details. You can go and read page number 266 of Abhidhamma book. So the first one is clinging to sensual pleasures. Clinging to sensual pleasures. I will use that one. Clinging to sensual pleasures. Normally we cling to sensual pleasure, things that we see, pleasant things that we see, right? We cling to that. So when that disappears, we suffer, right? We suffer. You suffer because you cling to things that you see. And also, you are listening music. Music is very soothing, very pleasant. Then suddenly somebody came in and make a lot of noise. Right? You're listening, closing your eye, Then somebody turn off the music, you will suffer. You will feel angry, right? You feel angry. Because of attachment to the music. Attachment to music. So therefore, in the 8th precept, right? You don't have to listen to the music. You don't have to watch a movie like that, right? Then suppose gentlemen watching football, football match. It's a live streaming. A very big football match, maybe Manchester United and Arsenal, And the wife went to see, went to watch a movie, Then she turn off, He switch off, not only. A change channel, How you will feel, You feel irritated, you feel angry, right? That is not because of the football match, but attachment or clinging to the football match, right? So therefore, affected by clinging, Football match are pleasant, right? Something to attach. So when you don't have clinging or attachment to the football match, whether the white chain, the channel, it doesn't matter, right? It will not make any difference to you, right? Any difference to you. So therefore, clinging to the 5 aggregate, affected by clinging. Enter into the range of 4 types of clinging. The first one is clinging to sensual pleasures, right? Clinging to sensual pleasures. You cling to, suppose you cling to one type of perfume. Maybe that one is, I think, you already understand. So second one is clinging to wrong view. So when you're believing a wrong view, when somebody says that your view is wrong, then you feel angry, right? You feel angry. So because of clinging to wrong view. Another one is clinging to rites and rituals. We have a different type of rites and rituals, right? Normally, most of the people follow it or cling to that. When somebody says the rites and ritual that you're following is not in accordance with the Buddhist teaching, you feel angry, You feel angry because you have clinging to rites and rituals. Rites and rituals. And the last one is clinging to theory of soul, clinging to soul. Many people believe there is a permanent soul inside or outside, So their belief in soul is so strong that when somebody says there's no soul, anatta in the world, feel angry, right? Because of clinging to the soul. So that means enter into the range of 4 type of clinging. So that means simply, if you cling to 5 aggregate, then suffering. So according to Abhidhamma, this includes the entire aggregate of form and the 4 major aggregate of mundane plane. Maybe I will not explain in details. According to Abhidhamma, we have 28, right? 28 material form. When you cling to them, suffering. So here, 4 major aggregate me. We will have a feeling, right? Feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. So these are the 4 mental formation of the mundane plane, not a supramundane one. Lokiya. So they are subject to clinging. The 4 mental aggregate of supramundane plane are not the aggregate of clinging. Supramundane here means magga and phala. Magga means the path, right? 4 magga chaita and 4 phala chaitas. So they are not the aggregate of clinging because they entirely transcend the range of clinging. That is, they cannot become the object of greed and wrong view. So that means the moment you attain magga and phala, clinging, wrong view cannot approach nearby, Cannot. So therefore, according to Abhidhamma, 4 magga chaita and 4 phala chaitas. So they are normal aggregate, They are under the aggregate, but they are not aggregate of clinging, So here is a different normal aggregate, normal 5 aggregate. But here, 4 magga chaita and 4 phala chaitas. So they are not 5 aggregate of clinging. But they are just in normal aggregate, normal aggregate. Nibbana is not even reckoned at the aggregate, let alone the aggregate of clinging. So Nibbana is not the aggregate, khanda, or not the aggregate of clinging, because Nibbana is not within the domain of clinging. Nibbana is not within the domain of clinging. So that means the first one is material form. 28 matters. All are subject to clinging, right? Subject to clinging. And feeling also subject to clinging. Feeling, mundane feeling, not a supra mundane one. And perception also a mundane perception, not a supra mundane one. And mental formation also supra mundane one. And consciousness. Among 89 consciousness, we will have a 81 mundane consciousness. So they are the aggregate of clinging, because they are subject to object of clinging. Object of clinging. So I will quote the Sutta. We call it Khanda Sutta, right? Khanda Sutta. Earlier I give it to you. Whatever kind of form, rupa, there is, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. So here the main thing is that is tainted, that can be clung to. Not in normal far aggregate, but the aggregate or material form that is tainted. In Pali, sasava, that can be clung to, upadaniya. So this is called the form aggregate subject to clinging. So here I will explain what is tainted that can be clung to. So the key terms to distinguish between aggregate and aggregate of clinging that can be tainted or with the taints. So here I have written three types of taints. The taints of sensual desire, the taints of sensual desire, the taints of existence, the taints of ignorance. Suppose you see one person. So that person, that is a material form, right? Material form. If your mind is tainted, when your mind is tainted with the sensual desire, that is suffering. So you see that person, you have a sensual desire, you want to get married or you want to stay with that person, then that person disappears. That person do not want to you, doesn't want to talk to you. Then you will suffer, right? You will suffer. So therefore, if your mind is not tainted with the sensual desire, you will not suffer. You will meet one person, then you talk to them, you deal with them. But in your mind, you don't have a sensual desire. Your mind is not tainted with the sensual desire. Even that person disappear from your life, you will not suffer, You will not suffer. So therefore, your suffering here is only if your mind is tainted with the sensual desire. Right? Suppose when you are eating a good food, normally you cling to that, right? You like it, you have attachment to the good food. When you do not have a good food on the table, your wife does not prepare a good food, then you will have some kind of irritation in your mind, Even you may say a word of displease, You will why you do not cook good food like that, right? Or like that. So that means the food is not suffering, but only when your mind is tainted with the sensual desire, it will be suffering. If your mind is not tainted with the sensual desire, whatever food you have, you will eat it without complaint, without complaint. So therefore, tainted with the sensual desire and tainted with the existence. Here, existence is three types. Sensory existence, like a human existence, and 6 heavenly realms, etc. We have a rupa, right? Rupa existence and arupa existence. Suppose, give you the same example, you are going to die. You're going to die. Then your mind is tainted with the taints of existence. You have a craving to human life. You don't want to live. You don't want to live. You don't want to leave this world. But subject to die, right? Subject to death. You will die anyway. Then, because of that, the taints of existence or craving for existence, human existence, you will suffer, right? You will suffer. But when your mind is not tainted with the taints of existence, you don't have any craving to this existence, you will not suffer, right? You will let go and you will leave this all peacefully, like that. And the taints of ignorance, you do not know the truth. You do not know the truth. So that will be, how to say, the origin of all type of suffering, no? All type of suffering. So what I want to say is, normal five aggregate is different from the aggregate of clinging. So the main difference is that is tainted. When your mind is tainted with the three type of taints, then that will be the aggregate of clinging. So that can be clung to. That can be clung to. You cling to that. You cling to that. So you need to understand normal five aggregate and also the aggregate of clinging. No? Clinging. Similarly, number one, form aggregate affected by clinging. According to Abhidhamma, 28 matters. So they are always, 28 matters are always mundane plane, lokiya. Secondly, feeling aggregate affected by clinging. So feeling within the domain of the mundane plane, not a supra-mundane one. The moment you attain Magga and Phala-Chaita, there will be feeling in your mind. So that feeling is not aggregate of clinging, because it is a supra-mundane one, right? Supra-mundane one. Similarly, perception aggregate in the mundane plane. So the moment you attain Magga and Phala-Chaita, you will have a perception in your mind. So that perception is just a normal aggregate, not the aggregate of clinging, right? The volitional formation aggregate, which is a mundane one, So all the middle factor except feeling and perception. And the last one is a consciousness aggregate affected by clinging. So according to Abhidhamma, 81 mundane chaitas. So that means 8 supra-mundane chaitas, 4 Magga chaita and 4 Phala chaitas transcends the range of clinging. So Nibbana is not reckoned either aggregate or the aggregate of clinging. We can call it clinging free zone. No? Free zone. The moment you experience the bliss of Nibbana, no clinging. No clinging. Your mind is peaceful. Okay. I think I will continue to talk about 3 types of suffering. No? Because I want to finish today. Maybe not enough for 2 days. Also, not enough for 1 day. It's a problem. No? That's the main thing I want to emphasize. All types of suffering can be categorized into three types. 3 types. So in some of the Sutta, like a Dukkha Sutta from Saundha Nikaya, Dukkha Sutta from Saundha Nikaya, and Sangheti Sutta from Majjhima Nikaya, mention three types of suffering. Three types of suffering. Visuddhimagga give a detailed explanation on them. Detailed explanation on them. And Visuddhimagga also analyze other type of suffering. But if you know three types, more than enough. More than enough. So, in Dukkha Sutta, the Buddha said that bhikkhus, so there are the three kinds of suffering. What three? Number one, suffering of pain. Simply, we can call it natural suffering, like aging, death, sorrow, lamentation. All these are suffering of pain. The suffering due to formation. Formation here means subject to impermanence. This body is subject to impermanence, right? So therefore, suffering due to formation. So when this body encounter with the changes, suffer. Your mind also subject to impermanence. Now you are happy, maybe after a few time, I'm happy, like that, changing, all the time changing. Suffering due to formation. Another one is suffering or change. So when we encounter with the pleasant things in our life, it is subject to change, So when we are experiencing pleasant thing in your life, of course it is good, right? It's good. But it's subject to change. We call it change or suffering or change. So these are three types. So number one, suffering or pain means natural suffering that we have learned earlier, right? So number two and number three, maybe this one we can call it spiritual suffering taught in, according to Buddhism. Suffering due to formation, suffering or change. Later I will explain one by one. So these are three kinds of suffering, the Buddha said. The Noble Eightfold Path is to be developed for the direct knowledge of the three kinds of suffering, for the full understanding of them, for their utter destruction, for their abandoning. So if you want to understand three kinds of suffering, you need to develop the Noble Eightfold Path. If you want to destroy three types of suffering, you need to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. So that means, so therefore, the Noble Eightfold Path is the path to know three kinds of suffering and to destroy them and to abandon them. So next year we'll talk about the Noble Eightfold Path in detail. The number one, suffering or pain. So you can see that dukkhā, right? Dukkhā. So the Buddha trying to use two words together, dukkhā. Maybe natural dukkha. So Bhikkhu Ñāṇa Mauli, in his Visuddhimagga translation, he used intrinsic suffering. So this is according to Visuddhimagga. All kinds of bodily and mental painful feeling, dukkha vedana, are called suffering or pain because they are naturally unpleasant and painful. So therefore, I use the word natural suffering, right? Easier to understand. We have a bodily pain in our body, we will mental pain in our life. All these are dukkha. suffering or pain. Everybody have it, right? Everybody has it. Number 2, suffering or change. Vibrinama dukkha. According to Visuddhimagga, Bhikkhu Ñāṇamoli, he used the word suffering in change. This one also beautiful, suffering in change. So this is according to Visuddhimagga. Bodily and mental pleasant feeling. In Pali, we call it sukha vedana, are called suffering or change, because they are the cause or the origin for the arising of pain when they change. You experience good thing in your life. You want them to last long, right? But that pleasant thing is subject to change. So when you encounter with the change, then you suffer. So therefore, even the pleasant feeling is suffering, according to Buddhism, because it's subject to change. Subject to change. So therefore, when you encounter good things in your life, you must understand that good thing also subject to change. So when you have that understanding, that acceptance, when you encounter with the real changes in life, you will not suffer. Because you fully accept it, right? Fully accept it. Suffering in change. So I will quote one sutta, one of the famous sutta from Majjhima Nikaya, Chula Vedana Sutta. It's taught by Bhikkhuni Dhammadena. Bhikkhuni Dhammadena, Buddhist name. So Visakha is her ex-husband. Friend Visakha, pleasant feeling is pleasant when it persists. It's painful when it changes. So therefore, according to Buddhist teaching, pleasant feeling or pleasant sensation in our life also suffering. Because subject to change, right? It will change sooner or later, right? Sooner or later. Then another sutta from Sutta Nikaya, the Buddha said that wherever is fat is included in the suffering. That have been stated by me with the reference to the impermanence of formation. The impermanence of formation. Formation, sankhara, are impermanent. Right? Whatever sensation you have, whatever mental sensation you have, whatever feeling you have, pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neutral feeling, all are suffering because they are subject to impermanence. Right? They are impermanent. So, any type of feeling is suffering. Then one time, Venerable Sariputta is giving a Dhamma talk and to a group of monks, he said that, indeed, happiness is Nibbana. Happiness is Nibbana. One of the monks called Udayi, and he said that, Bhante, you said that in Nibbana there is no feeling. How will you experience Nibbana? No feeling, how will you experience Nibbana? Then Venerable Sariputta said that without feeling is indeed happiness. Without feeling, or feeling here is a sensation, it's happiness. So therefore, the life for a monk is normally our state of mind is very stable compared to lay people, Lay people, a lot of excitement, a lot of feeling, right? when they encounter with the pleasant people or pleasant thing, too much excitement. Right? So when they're watching movie, listening music, when they're meeting with the beloved one, too much excitement, right? Then their beloved one go to foreign country to study. They miss, right? They miss a lot of excitement, a lot of feeling, So that minister is not stable, but the monks normally not supposed to listen music, watch movie, not supposed to have a marriage life, right? So therefore, we don't have not so much feeling or sensation. So therefore, without feeling is happiness, right? So therefore, happy if you can stay without all these feeling or all these excitement, really happy, Happy here means cessation of suffering. Your suffering cease because of not having so many feelings, so many, not dealing with the pleasant and unpleasant neutral feeling, right? So we have to control. So therefore, Venerable Sariputta said that Nibbana indeed is happiness, or happiness indeed is Nibbana. But another monk, he said, so we have to experience happiness with the feeling. Without feeling, how can we experience it, right? So therefore, you can imagine when somebody attains jhanas, he closes his eye, that he just focuses on his meditation object. So by that time, he has less feeling, less feeling. No sensual pleasures, no sensual pleasures. So because of less feeling, free, happy, more happiness. Then when you go to second jhana, less feeling. Third jhana, less feeling. So when you go to the last one, the eighth jhana, your feeling almost disappear, We call it neither perception nor non-perception, right? So when you read that 8 stage of jhana, then your feeling, your perception almost disappear. Because of that, more happiness. But when you go to cessation attainment, no feeling, no perception, no mind. You may think that no mind, how will you experience happiness? The Venerable Sariputta said, no. When you do not have any type of feeling, happiness, right? Happiness. So here, for that reason, when you read this sutta, whatever is fat is included in suffering. More feeling, more suffering. Less feeling, less suffering. That's the reason why people go on a diet, right? People go on a diet. So they control their food. They control their food because they're trying to reduce their feeling, pleasant feeling, right? By eating a good food. So when you can, by controlling, then you live healthier life, a good life. So that's the reason why less feeling and more happiness, right? More happiness, like that. According to Buddhist teaching, any type of feeling is suffering because subject to impermanence. Subject to impermanence. A happy feeling or a happy condition is not permanent. It will change sooner or later. When it is encountered with the changes, it produces suffering, pain, and happiness. So therefore, any type of feeling is suffering because subject to impermanence. And the last one is suffering due to formation, sankhara dukkha. So here you need to understand what is formation, sankhara. Here, physical and mental phenomena that are conditioned by many causes. especially 4 causes of formation, sankhara. So here 4 causes here mean karma, mind, weather, food. So these are the formation, sankhara. You look at your body, right? Your body is conditioned by the weather, conditioned by the food, conditioned by the food. So when you encounter with the good weather, pleasant, right? Hot weather, unpleasant, anger will arise. Like that. When you eat good food, lobha. And when you eat bad food, dosa, right? So your mind is conditioned by food. But when you attain nibbana, nibbana is called unconditioned, asinkata. So when you attain nibbana, all these causes cannot change the bliss of nibbana. All these conditions cannot change your happiness. Whether you are living under the hot weather or whether you're eating a bad food, so that food, weather, mind, karma cannot change your happiness. So therefore, nibbana happiness is called unconditioned, asinkata. Because those causes cannot change your happiness. The bliss of nibbana. Right? But here, suffering due to formation. So other things normally, even the jhana, jhanas are higher state of mind, right? Even the jhana are subject to formation, subject to impermanence, right? Subject to formation. Suppose you are sitting in the shrine hall, you attain the first jhana. Suppose the first jhana. Then somebody came near to you and make a lot of noise. Then you will fall down from the jhana. You know, the voice. Your jhana is conditioned by the voice, right? Conditioned by the voice. So therefore, even the jhana chetas, which are very good, subject to causes. So that's for suffering due to formation. Even the jhana chetas, this one, suffering. So therefore, some people may want to go to Brahma realm, because they do not know. Some people may want to go to heaven, They do not know that the life of a deva also subject to impermanence, right? So when you're enjoying sensual pleasures in heaven, of course, very happy. When you're going to die, then normally the deva, when they have a sweat in their body, they're going to die, Normally they don't have a sweat in their body, normally. So those times, the deva also afraid, afraid. When you have fear to die, then that's suffering, right? So therefore, according to Buddhism, anything that is subject to impermanence or conditions, so that is suffering. That's suffering. Suffering due to formation. Human life, the deva life, Brahma life, the life of the Brahma, or the life of a good human life, also suffering, because due to formation, right? Due to formation. So according to Visuddhimagga, equanimous feeling or upekkha vedana, a remaining formation of 3 planes, are called suffering due to formation, because they are afflicted by and subject to rise and fall. Rise and fall means impermanence, right? So that means, actually, Visuddhimagga trying to analyze based on the feeling, right? bodily and mental unpleasant feeling, natural suffering. And pleasant mental and physical feeling is a suffering in change. Because when you are encountering pleasant feeling in your life, you feel happy. But when you encounter with the changes, you feel unhappy, right? So therefore, pleasant feeling is a suffering or change. But the remaining feeling, equanimous feeling, remaining formation of three planes, called suffering due to formation, because they are afflicted by rise and fall. Right? Rise and fall. So when you look at all these teachings, you will see that, or some people blame that, Buddhism is pessimistic. Buddhism is pessimistic. Always suffering, 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 And one of the Western writer, she said that Buddhism is not afraid to talk about suffering. But in the West, they put all type of suffering under the carpet. So she noticed the teachings of the Buddha. So here, each noble truth starts with the word suffering. You will notice, right? The noble truth of suffering, noble truth of the origin of suffering, Dukkha samudaya in Pali, Dukkha samudaya, Dukkha nidora, Dukkha nidora gamini patipada. So start with the suffering, right? Start with the Dukkha. Each noble truth starts with the word Dukkha. In the Suttas, series of sufferings are stated in a straightforward manner, very straightforward, right? Aging, sickness, death, etc. So therefore, Buddhism is often accused of being pessimistic. Many people, some people blame that Buddhism is pessimistic. I will say that Buddhism is neither pessimistic or optimistic. Some people will say only good things, No, Buddhism will not say that. Buddhism is realistic because it provides the real answer to stop our suffering, to stop our problem. So the 10 suffering is used in all Four Noble Truths because all deal with the problem of our life. That is suffering. Suffering. So you must know the suffering, and you must abandon the original suffering, and you must realize cessation of suffering, and you must develop the path that leads to cessation of suffering. I will finish by quoting one sutta. It's called Gavampati Sutta. Gavampati Sutta is one of the famous disciples of the Buddha. And in this sutta, when this was said, the Venerable Gavampati said to the Ira Bhikkhus, "Friends, in the presence of the Blessed One, I have heard and learned this. Bhikkhus, one who sees suffering also see the origin of suffering, also see the cessation of suffering, also see the way leading to cessation of suffering." So that means, according to the Buddha, actually, of course, we couldn't find anywhere, only in this sutta. Only in this sutta. So the sutta mentioned Venerable Gavampati taught to the monks, quoting what the Buddha taught. if you see the dukkhā, three types of dukkhā, you see the other three, noble truth. So that means it's not easy to see, right? Three types of dukkhā. You can see the natural dukkhā, but it's not easy to see the dukkhā in change, right? Dukkhā due to formation. It's not easy. So if you understand suffering or change, so that means you know that you are on the path, on the path. You know the origin of suffering. Therefore, you have a cessation of suffering. And one who sees the origin of suffering, second noble truth, also see suffering, also see cessation of suffering, also see the way leading to cessation of suffering. So that means, if you see one noble truth truly, you see the other three, right? Here also, when you see the cessation of suffering, so that means when you attain Nibbana, you know what is dukkhā, right? You attain Nibbana because you know the nature of dukkhā, and you remove the original dukkhā, right? And you practice, so therefore you attain Nibbana. Similarly, one who sees the way leading to cessation of suffering, the last noble truth, also see suffering, original suffering, and cessation of suffering. It is important sutta. It's also a beautiful sutta. When you see one, you see the other three. So that means they are connected, right? They are connected. Causing effect. Because of it, that happened, right? So when you see that link, we call it paticcasamuppada, dependent origination, right? Depending on this, that happened. When you see in one place, the Buddha said that when you see dependent origination, you see the Dhamma. In one place, the Buddha said that when you see the Dhamma, you see me. Right? So that means they are connected each other. So, I think that will be the end of the lesson. So, I hope you understand what is dukkhā according to Buddhist teaching. So next year we'll talk about the other three. Okay, so let's call it a day. Yo varatam bhavaro manu jesu sakyamuni bhagavakata kecho paragato balavidiya samangi dan sukatan saranatamu raga viraga maninjamasokan dhamma masanga dhamma patikulan marudami mampakunan suvipadan dhamma mimang saranatamu pemi yata chade nama apalamahu chatusu susisu buddhisayugesu attacha pogala dhammatasate sangami mansara natamu pemi. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, good night everyone. If you want to know, if you have a question, you can SMS me. I will call you back. Okay. Sorry?